And good evening, everybody, and welcome here as we get ready for knockout qualifying in our 10th race of the season of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. Yes, I know, I made that little blooper on the title of the last video for Talladega. I had it down as Snickers Cup Series. Well, let's just say that video uploaded, completed at about 11:30 at night. I was exhausted. I typed in the title, didn't even know what I was typing, and there you go. Anyway, we are here at Kansas Motor Speedway getting ready for, or Kansas Speedway rather, getting ready for knockout qualifying in this one. And as usual at our mile and a halfs now, we've only got the opportunity for drivers to be able to lay down their laps in 5 minutes time. So these drivers going to want to get their lap times laid down very quickly, and we saw a number of them already leaving pit road. Let's jump to one that I know has actually left pit road. That's 35 of Cat Tellier. I know there's a couple that actually left before that. Elijah Gordon in the 44, and there was somebody else that was further up. See if I can find who it was. Oh yeah, it was Stephanie Gardner in the 82. So Stephanie already took the green flag to start her first lap of the evening. And let's see what she's going to lay down. 195 at the start finish line, 29.452 the first lap laid down officially in this qualifying session. And already that gets beaten. Ryan Madden hits the 28s. 28.887 for the U.S. Army Chevrolet. There is Joshua Circulli, first time this season that he comes into a race knowing he is locked into the starting grid. William Brock Motorsports buying the charter from the 27 team out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports, and whoa! Jake Baskinger getting a little squirrely up in that corner. Elijah Gordon there as well, and Circulli, he's trying to fight his way now up to the top 30 in the point standings after his win at Martinsville. A little contact with the wall, same for Daniel Voiles. He went into Talladega 39th in points. He's now 38th in points. Still got quite a ways to go. He's got a number of full-time drivers ahead of him in the standings, so a second win certainly wouldn't hurt his chances of getting up into the top 30 in the standings, but he's just relying on consistency. Trouble! Levi McIntyre, Trent Dunham, and Matthew Daly have all wrecked, and they're still wrecking. One car up in the air, that's Madden. Cat Tellier involved, Shelton, Henderson, Poteet gets a piece of it. Carson Scott is now involved. Carnage in turns 3 and 4, and more trouble. Garrett Sydnor, and there goes Aaron Henderson, Batson, Balvin. Now here's the only bit of good news, is that these drivers, with this wreck taking place in the first segment, they can go to backup cars. If it happens in the second segment and they go to a backup car, they start at the rear of the field. They still have a shot of, in a backup car, moving into the next round. And there were a number of drivers who are up at the top of the leaderboard that were involved in that, including Balvin, Ryan Madden, Keith Batson, and Garrett Sydnor. They were all inside the top 10 in speeds. We're looking at the fastest on track right now, Leon Alvarise, and we're still trying to accumulate the list of the drivers that were involved. So far, we've reached about 15 drivers involved, including Poteet, Shelton, Aaron Henderson, Keith Batson, Cody Llamas, Kyle Matthews, Carson Scott, Aaron Henderson, and a number of others. Leon Alvarise is going to bring his car to maybe the safest place on the racetrack right now, and that is pit road. Right now, that 12th position is held by Dillon Young. Ryan Madden coming off pit road and is now his backup machine. And we've only got about 23 seconds left. Right now, Dillon Young holds the final transfer spot. Stephanie Gardner would transfer, along with Garrett Sydnor, Brandon Gonzales, Cody Llamas, Austin Mongold, Keith Batson, Anthony McCrury, Ryan Madden, James Qualls, Neal Balvin, and Leon Alvarise. Trent Dunham currently sits on the outside looking in. Zeros on the clock, and that's probably going to do it. 30 seconds left for cooldown, and Dillon Young will get the final transfer spot into the next round of qualifying. But out of those drivers, I think there are about maybe 3-4 of them that are going to be in backup machines. The 04, the 8, the 73, and the 88. Possibly the 23 of Brandon Gonzales. Not certain why the 9 car is coming back out on the racetrack. Session's going to be complete in a second. And there it is. So, the 12 drivers that transfer in this round of qualifying will be Leon Alvarise, Neal Balvin, trying to make his second race of the season. Was the pole sitter last week. Third race of the season for Balvin, but second straight race, I should say. James Qualls, Ryan Madden, Anthony McCurry, Keith Batson, Austin Mongo, Cody Llamas, Brandon Gonzales, Garrett Sydnor, Stephanie Gardner, and Dillon Young. They'll be the 12 to transfer in. Drivers that officially will not be making this race will more than likely be Matthew Dallio, Kat Tellier, Elijah Gordon, Zachary Stoltz, Seth Cole, John Gilbert, and Aaron Henderson. Out of the drivers that transfer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are non-chartered cars. So that means that if we have more than 2 non-chartered machines transfer into the next round of qualifying in our second heat, we're going to have a couple of drivers move into round 2 but still be going home. So that's going to do it for the first qualifying session. A big wreck here involving a number of drivers too. Let's head now for our second heat of our first round of qualifying. So we'll get ready now to find out what 12 drivers will join the first 12 that have transferred into round number 2, with a chance of sitting on the pole position. You see right there that orange car at the front of pit road. That's our only 2-time winner this season, Charles Sandfer, picking up his second win of the year last week at Talladega Superspeedway. And that moved him back into the top 30 in the points standings. Now his goal is just remain in that top 30 in the points. And he's coming off pit road now. New sponsorship, Reese's Pieces, on his Chevrolet this week. A couple of rookies, Nathan Hudson and Marty Johnson, have already left pit road. And Hudson takes the green flag, and he'll begin his first timed lap. Nathan Hudson made his debut a couple of weeks ago back at Martinsville, trying to make his second career start of the season for Michael Norman Motorsports. Now let's see what kind of lap time he's going to lay down here. It was like a 29.4, I think, that Stephanie Gardner laid down in the first heat. Hudson will lay down almost a 29 flat. Much faster first lap for Hudson than Stephanie Gardner had in the first heat. Marty Johnson drove a 29.7. And now Hudson going to have to race around another rookie in James McCloud. That may hurt his lap, having to use the high side, and I was wondering if he was going to get the wall. He doesn't. And does he better his lap? No, he was about maybe 3/100ths slower that lap. Now catching up to the 55 of Holden Glue, but right now he's the fastest on racetrack. And that wreck we had take place in the first heat ended up taking place very close to the end of the first heat. Oh, contact between Holden Gluba and Nathan Hudson, and Gluba's going to get the wall as a result. Dougie Shears is now the fastest car on track in the 21 car. It's been a while since we've actually seen Dougie Shears racing. He's missed a number of races lately. But at the moment, he is the fastest car on track. As a matter of fact, Dodge Darts hold the top 2 spots. Dougie Shears in the 21, and Zach Rogers, another driver we haven't seen in quite a while. Right now, he holds the second position. Let's find that 39. There he is. Pennzoil Platinum Dodge now is actually the fastest on track. Just ran a 28.672. And remember, we said that if more than 2 drivers that are go or go homers end up making it into the next round of qualifying, we're going to have non-chartered cars make it into round 2 and still be eliminated from taking the green flag. Well, right now, I'm seeing about 4 or 5 non-chartered cars up inside the top 10 in speed. Davey Johnson just jumped up there. And then, of course, you got Dougie Shears and Zach Rogers in 2nd and 3rd. John Andrews just jumped up to 5th. 28.582 fastest lap for Zach Rogers, but 2 drivers have now hit the 28.4s, including this driver right here, Dallas McIntosh, who just hit the 28.2s. 28.242 for the Cheez-It Ford of Dallas McIntosh. That is a lightning fast lap. That's the fastest lap we've had this entire session so far. Take a look at his teammate there in the 17, John Andrews, up there with a 28.5. John Cittadino's jumped up into the top 10. Cole Baker, JT Bryant, Johnny Gardner. Keep in mind that 27 car, this is the first time this season that they are running without a charter, so they're trying to make it in on speed. And right now they're in that 12th position. Now they jumped up to 11th. John Andrews is actually the fastest on track right now in the 17 car. So right now, Roush Fenway Racing holds the top 2 spots in speed. So far in this session, there is John, and he's going to come to pit road. Not too far back was Johnny Gardner. There he is. 767, I should say. His fastest lap. He's 11th place right now, trying to still make the show. JT Bryant right now in the bubble spot with 20 seconds remaining. You got Joe Rockingham, Tim Walsh, Davey Johnson, Pete Ulun, and Charles Sandfer all on the outside looking in. Nathan Hudson, who was the first car on track, now has fallen to 18th fastest. Second car out on track, Marty Johnson's fallen to 20th. And zeros on the clock. Session should be over. And I believe the drivers that will transfer from this heat will be JT Bryant, Johnny Gardner, John Cittadino, James McCloud, Chris Dodd, along with Cole Baker, Joshua Michaels, Rocco Twyman up there with his teammate Zach Rogers. So 2 drivers out of the Bulldog Motorsports team moving into the next round, along with Dougie Shears. And then Roush Fenway Racing, the only 2 drivers to hit the 28.2s with Dallas McIntosh 28.242 and John Andrews 28.230. So Johnny Gardner, regardless of not having a charter this week, he'll move into the next round, so he's going to try and make the main event, charter or no charter. And the drivers that officially will not be making this race at this point will be Joe Rockingham, Davey Johnson, Pichu Ludden, Holden Gluba, Nathan Hudson, Marty Johnson, Noah Cars, Marie Minobi, Jason Haywood, Kyle Keith, and that will be it for those machines. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 non-chartered cars moving into the next round from this heat, which means we will have 12 non-chartered cars battling for 7 available spots in the starting lineup for this week's race at Kansas Speedway. Once again, we'll show you your full results from this qualifying session, and now we'll get ready for our remaining 24 drivers to try and see who's going to get the final 12 spots and moving into round 3 to start in the pole for this Kansas race. Don't go away. So now we get set for our second round of qualifying here tonight. 24 drivers transfer into this round. Half of them are go or go home non-chartered machines. So we've got ourselves a 50% chance of a driver maybe making it in to start in the pole position. Dillon Young coming off of pit road and the white deuce. He'll be the first one off pit road. He just barely squeaked his way into this round, finishing 12th in the first heat of the first round of qualifying. So it's going to be a battle between 24 drivers for 12 spots to move into the third round of qualifying to try and have an opportunity to start on the pole position. Which, by the way, we have not had a repeat pole sitter yet this year. Charles Sandfer became the first repeat race winner last week. So far, 9 races, 9 different drivers starting on the inside of row 1. But we're also going to have a battle between 12 different drivers for 7 spots in the starting lineup for this week's race at Kansas. Now, just to clarify, it will be the top 7 drivers in speed in this session that are non-chartered cars that will make the race. Let's say, for instance, out of the 12 drivers, 9 of them finish outside of the top 12, don't move on to the next round. 3 of them finish in the top 12 in speeds and move on to the next round of qualifying. Those 3 are obviously locked in, but the next 4 fastest, regardless of whether they move on to the next round or not, would then also be in the race. So it just comes down to the top 7 fastest speeds for the non-chartered cars. Dillon Young already up in the 28s, 28.457. That white deuce might have been holding something back in the last session. Cody Llamas and Chris Dodd, James Qualls, John Andrews, who have all run laps so far, have only hit the 29s. We'll see, though. A couple of drivers on track here are running in backup cars after that big wreck that took place, including the 78 of Cody Llamas, also the 88 of Garrett Sydnor, the 73 of Keith Batson going to a backup car, the 8 of Ryan Madden, a backup machine. So we'll see how those backup cars do. Looks like Cody Llamas's and Garrett Sydnor's are both very fast still, as Dillon Young works his way around John Cittadino. 28.409, his fastest lap right now. See if John Cittadino held him up at all, or is that going to help his lap time? This time by 28.317, continues to chip away. But speaking of chipping away, same can be said for Garrett Sydnor. He's now up to second fastest in that 88. Let's find him. Trying to make the show and get both of the CJ Racing cars in there right now. Sydnor's second fastest, his teammate Chris Dodd 7th fastest, and just chipped his lap time again, 28.555. But that's 2/100ths slower than Dillon Young's fastest lap, and Cole Baker now just took second, 28.456 for the Undertale Chevrolet. About a minute 15 seconds remaining in this session, and the bubble spot driver is the 16 of Dallas McIntosh, who was, I believe, second fastest in our first heat, and now the 12 spot's getting swapped around. Cittadino had it, now he's lost it, now it's Zach Rogers who sits in that final transfer spot. Now it's Chris Dodd that sits there. Right now, I'd say the one that is right at the moment carefree is Dillon Young. There's no way I think that 12 other drivers are going to beat his 28.3. As Chris Dodd sits in the final transfer spot right now. Joshua Michaels was close. He's 4/1000ths off. James McCloud is 9/1000ths off, as is Zach Rogers, of getting that final transfer position. With 30 seconds to go, and Stephanie Gardner just got dropped to 12. Right now, Chris Dodd would be out. 28.851, the lap time that needs to be beaten within the next 15 seconds. For someone to try and make the show, and Stephanie Gardner just got eliminated. Now Brandon Gonzales is on the bubble with a 28.840. 3, 2, 1, zeros. 27 seconds left for somebody that already crossed the line to maybe beat the 28.40 laid down by the Mitsubishi Lancer of Brandon Gonzales. Dillon Young has actually lost fastest on track to Neal Balvin, last week's pole sitter from Dega. And McCloud just got dropped down to 12th, I think. Gonzales just, he moved up to 8th, so now it's McCloud on the bubble spot. And I believe the session is now complete. So it looks like the drivers that will transfer into the next round of qualifying, Neal Balvin, 28.233. Where in the world did that come from? Dillon Young, Garrett Sydnor, Cole Baker, Rocco Twyman, Cody Llamas, Leon Alvarise, Brandon Gonzales, Dougie Shears, Joshua Michaels, Dallas McIntosh, and James McCloud will move into the next round. Now we're going to have to see what drivers are officially going to be making the race for the non-chartered cars based off of speed. They will be Neal Balvin, Garrett Sydnor, Cole Baker, Rocco Twyman, Dougie Shears, James McCloud, and the final spot in the field will go to the 82 of Stephanie Gardner. So the drivers that will not make the race, the 5 drivers that will not make the race, will be Zach Rogers, Austin Mongold, Keith Batson, Johnny Gardner, and John Andrews. So those are the 5 drivers that will not transfer. But from Neal Balvin down to 12th place James McCloud, they will head into the final round of qualifying and try and start on the pole position. The only one, I believe, so I'm looking through here, yeah, only one driver, or 2 drivers, my apologies, out of those 12 have started on a pole position. Neal Balvin last week at Talladega, Joshua Michaels at the season opening Daytona 500. So we have a 5 and 6 chance of having another first-time pole sitter this season. Let's head now for our final round of qualifying and see who that driver will be. Alright, here we go. Who's going to be starting on the pole for this week's race at Kansas Speedway? As mentioned, only 2 drivers of these 12 have already sat on a pole position this season, so the odds are in favor of us going 10 races with 10 different pole sitters, as we're looking at go or go home driver Rocco Twyman. It was looking like there was a good chance that all 4 of the Bulldog Motorsports cars were going to be making the show, but Zach Rogers getting eliminated from the main event in the second round of qualifying. So it looks like it'll be Twyman, Leon Alvarise, and Grayson Acevedo representing for Bulldog Motorsports in this race. Twyman would love to represent by starting on point. The Stanley Tools Dodge Dart is on his first timed lap. Let's see what it's going to be. Most of the first laps are somewhere within like 29.4s. Let's see what Twyman lays down. Wow, slower that time. 29.564. James McCloud just now leaving pit road. There's Leon Alvarise, so we got a chance for 2 of the Bulldog Motorsports cars to maybe get a pole position. Joshua Michaels, 29.280 for his first lap, trying to start on his second pole of the season. Dallas McIntosh just took the green to start his lap. Dougie Shears just completed his first lap, 29.587. The only Fitzwater Australia racing car to make it into the final round, so all 3 of those cars will be in the main event. There is Cole Baker, 29.671. His first lap laid down. Our Rookie of the Year points leader. Now the 28s are getting hit. Rocco Twyman hit at 28.906. Joshua Michaels, 28.909. And Dallas McIntosh and Dillon Young both laid down their first laps. 29.4 for Young, 29.6 for McIntosh. McCloud with a 25.9. I'm sorry, 29.5 rather. As right now, Joshua Michaels keeps chipping away, 28.874, his fastest lap time. And I thought maybe running in the draft of Cody Llamas, Rocco Twyman might do something, but he did not. There is your current pole sitter as things stand, but there's still 2 minutes remaining, still plenty of time for somebody to be able to lay down a lap time faster than a 28.8. Don't think you'll see them hitting the 28.20 with only 12 cars on track. And someone just beat Michael's lap. Who was it? It was Garrett Sydnor. That is, let's keep in mind, folks, that is a backup car. Sydnor got involved in that wreck in the closing stages of the first heat of the first round of qualifying. He then raced his way into the second round of qualifying in a backup car. Using that backup car, got into the third round of qualifying, and right now he would sit on the pole position. 28.370, the lap he just laid down there. How about that? And how about Neal Balvin? We saw him jump up to the top of the leaderboard late in the second round of qualifying, trying to start on his second straight pole position, 28.407, the lap time he just laid down. So if he doesn't get the pole right now, he would start on his second straight front row, 28.131 for Garrett Sydnor. Wow. And I don't know what the deal is, but if Sydnor can close the deal, that will be 3 out of our last 4 races where the pole sitter has been a rookie. Stephanie Gardner 3 weeks ago held the pole at Infineon. Last week, Neal Balvin started on the pole at Dega, and now Sydnor looks like he is on track to starting on his first career pole at Kansas. Balvin continues to chip away as well. 28.236, the lap time that he's laid down. There he is. Last time by 28.288, 5/100ths off his fastest lap. This time by much slower, over 100ths, or over a 10th slower than his fastest lap. Looks like he'll have to settle for second. There's about 10 seconds remaining here. Leon Alvarise lined up in third. He just ran at 28.4. Cody Llamas would be fourth. Michaels in fifth. Sixth would be Young. Seventh, Twyman. Eighth place, McCloud. Ninth, Dougie Shears. 10th, Cole Baker. And then row 6 would be Brandon Gonzales and Dallas McIntosh. And now we have about 15 seconds left for cooldown, and it is official. Garrett Sydnor, the 88 car out of CJ Racing, will be your pole sitter for this week's race at Kansas Speedway. Session should be coming to a close here. And indeed it is. It will be again for a second week in a row an all-rookie front row. Garrett Sydnor and Neal Balvin in the last 2 races. Balvin has started first and second at 04 teams, finding their speed in qualifying. Leon Alvarise, Cody Llamas will be row 2. Row 3, Michaels and Young. Row 4, Rocco Twyman will be back in a points-paying event along with James McCloud. They'll start 7th and 8th. Dougie Shears also back in a points-paying event. We'll start on the inside of row 5 alongside of Cole Baker. And then it'll be Brandon Gonzales and Dallas McIntosh. We'll have 5 rookies starting up inside the top 10. Thank you all so much for tuning in for this week's qualifying session at Kansas Speedway. Next up, we'll be going racing under the lights here at Kansas for our 10th race of the season. Garrett Sydnor continues the streak on. 10 races, 10 different pole sitters. And now the third pole sitter to be a rookie this season, joining Neal Balvin and Stephanie Gardner. So we'll see you guys next time. Take a look down in the description to see the official starting lineup for the Kansas race based off of what took place in tonight's qualifying events. We'll see you guys next time as you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.